Can you see this right here? See that? Moorish divine and national movement of the world. Al-Moroccan Empire. Shed its beam out. See right here it says ab antiquo. That means ancient in law. Ab antiquo. Ancient. Right? Now, you see how the pyramid is connected and the eyes right there looking? Then you look right here and you see that crescent moon with that star right there. That's the Fertile Crest with the 5-point star. See? Our self-law and master at the bottom of the pyramid. And you see the circle 7 still right there in the shadows. Now, you know how it's like when you want to keep somebody's attention, you got to give them something like this nowadays, right? I want y'all to look at this though. This ain't a magic trick. This is what we got to start getting back to. Now you see this, right? The Al-Moroccan Empire. This how it really look. Ab Antiquo, the Moorish seal, is right here. This is the Great Seal. What the Freemasons did was they changed this right here from the original Ab Antiquo pyramid. They changed this, the Al-Moroccan Empire in Islam, to this right here. This is what they changed. Now you know. See? See, it's not a secret. What they did right here, you see that? See how they disconnected the capstone? They disconnected this because this right here was like spitting in our face. They basically was saying, we took away your nationality. We took away your divine creed, your connection with Allah. This is why this tip of this pyramid, the capstone, is hovering above the rest of the pyramid. You're going to want to share this beam out. You're going to get a whole lot out this beam out. This is the OG picture right here. So when they say, well, where's the Moorish stuff at? Where's the Moorish government at? Where's the Moorish military at? You living in it. You just under the spell. You under colonization. Your brain is under indoctrination. See that? On God, the truth don't change or pass away. This is the OG, the original seal, the Great Seal. This how it really look. That's why you see it right here on this. The Freemasons, the black sellouts, they did this to it. Ding, 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 ding. Now you know. Now you know. So when they say, where the money at? The Moors, they sold out and they ain't got no money. Yeah. Let me show you how they lying. Let me show you how they lying to your ass. Right here. See? All they did was put it right in our faces and tell us another story. And all they did was change that capstone. They cut the capstone in half. Hold up. They cut the capstone. See it? So our nationality as Moorish American, our divine creed, which is Islamism, they disconnected it from Allah, from us. See? But man and woman are one with Allah. See that? See? See, it's kind of hard to keep somebody's attention, but when you start bringing out these green pieces of paper, you'll keep somebody's attention a little bit longer. You feel me? So now you see when I flip this over, remember, this ain't a magic trick. I want y'all to look in the shadows right here. Look in the shadows. Hold on, let me zoom in. Look in the shadows. Can you see in the shadows? I want you to see if you can peek, you can point out that number that's right there. It's a number in them shadows going right there and right there. Can you see it? You see how it's hidden in plain sight? Look right here. There, and there. What's the number that you see? Inside of a circle. See? It's hidden in plain sight. Yeah. I'm talking about diabolical. This is what the Freemasons did. This is what the dirty Moors did. That know that you're not a black person. But in order for them to get corporate kickbacks from the U.S. corporation, they got to lie to us. Because they sellouts. They Freemasons. They know that you ain't black. They know that this is the Great Seal. You see it? See how I say Great Seal right there? They know that you come from this. Look. They know that you come from this right here. They know that. So if you in the Americas and you saying, man, the Moors fail when they ain't got no money. They ain't got no land. Everybody know the history except our people who keep being under the indoctrination spell of Indian, black, color person, Negro. You think you everything but what you is. Nah, you go over here. You go to the gods and the earths. Go over here to the gods and the earths, which is right here. What do you see there? A 7. What do you see too? You see a crescent moon inside of a circle. Inside of a circle. Are y'all starting to get the picture? Everybody know. Look. You got the crescent moon and the star, the circle 7. You got the circle 7 and you got the number 7 right there. See that? Then you come right here. You go right there to where it says Allah. See that? You're seeing the 5 points of your body. You see how the 5 points of our bodies, they spell out Allah? Arm, leg, arm, head. See? It's all connected. It's all connected. See, everywhere around us is more science. It's all connected. Then you go right here. Where they talk about Islamism. Islamism is the first religious creed. And again, that was taken away from our people by the Freemasons and the dirty Moors who choose to sell out, take death oaths, and worship the dark. See that? Right there. See that? Now, you come right here. How we said they took away our nationality when they decapitated the capstone. See? They decapitated the capstone and they took away our divine creed, which is Islamism. And they told us, you got to go to church and talk to a pastor for you to have a connection with God. That's cap. You don't need to go to a church to have a connection with Allah. Because Allah and man and woman are one. See? So you got Jesus or Yahushua, gospel spirituality. You got salvation, Muhammad, the Quran, the religion, the law. You got enlightenment, yoga, meditation, the Zen. You got peace. You got, that's Buddha. You got Confucius, which is the chi or the balance, the body, the life, the harmony. That's freedom. So you got 90, 90, 90, and 90. What does that make? 360. You got what? Air, fire, earth, and water. Mathematics. You got the 7 in the center. Mathematics. You got this symbol right here that you think this belongs to the so-called Jews. Cap. The Khazars, the Khazarians, they just got here on this planet. It's cap. This don't belong to them. This is the hex alpha. This belongs to the Moors. This belongs to us. This is Moorish science. See that? Then you got the crescent moon and the star. So let me show you this thing. Because you need to see this. You really need to see. And you keep thinking that these people don't know what's going on. Hold up. You thinking that these people don't know what's going on. Let me show you this. Now, this picture right here, let's bring the dark to the light. This picture right here is at a party in Miami, in Miami, right? They called it a Moroccan party. Who's that guy right there? You know who that guy is right there, right? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Who's that guy? Y'all know this Miami Heat. Who's that guy? That's D Wade right there. Look how he dressed. He got the Moorish drip on. Fam in the back got a fez on. Mario Chalmers looked like he got a shamag on. Haslam, he got a Moorish fez on. Standing right next to LeBron. See that? Does Bron know what time it is? All of them know what time it is. That's Rashid Lewis. Standing right next to Ray Allen. Jesus Shuttlesworth. He got a Moorish fez on. You see how they trying to, they playing right in our faces. They know what time it is, fam. They know that we Moors, that we ain't black people. They know that you ain't no damn Indian, Native American. They know that you not that. But they not talking though. Because they got contracts that they can't talk. But they know what time it is behind the scene. Like a lot of actors, a lot of so-called celebrities, actors, celebrities, entertainers, athletes. They really know that we Moors, but they not talking because a lot of them, if they talk, you probably gonna think that they crazy or they tweaking. So they not really so quick to talk like that. If you already not in tune with the science, and a lot of them is Freemasons, but a lot of them not. This is where you got the duality at. You got a lot of people that know the science, and you got other people that know, but they not talking because they got contracts. You understand? Look, so when you go right here and you see pictures speak 1,000 words, look at this. When they talk about Mexico, look. So you see the picture speaking 1,000 words. Hold on. Because I want you to see this. Hold on. I really want you to see this. So you can see that picture speak 1,000 words. Hold on. Where that picture at? Where's that picture? Here it is right here. When they talk about Mexicans, this is what they want to do. The they is anybody going against love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Anybody telling you that Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Haitians, people from all over Central America, the islands, the so-called Caribbeans, South America, they keep trying to divide us. Because if you divide it, you weak. Here's a picture for y'all to see. You have Mexicans that's wearing Moorish fezzes. And you might be like, why the hell Mexicans wearing Moorish fezzes for? Because Mexicans are Moorish Americans. Duh. Mexico is in North America. Central America, South America, all of the so-called Caribbean islands, that's America, including Hawaii. Yeah, Hawaii got a place on there. You know, Hawaii used to be called, that was what you say over there, the land of Mu. Over there in Hawaii, that was Mu over there. That's why when Hawaii was broken up, like the Atlanteans and the Lemurians, that's the land of Mu in Hawaii. That's why you got an island over there still to this day called Easter Island. Easter Island still got Moorish monuments on the land right now, today. You see? So when you talk about history, you really got to start taking a deeper look, not by the narrative that they told us to keep us separated, like Mexicans and Puerto Ricans and Dominicans and Haitians and Trinidadians and all them people from Barbados and all them. They ain't really Moors. That's cap. They are Moors. They're Moorish American. That's the collective free national name. You see, when it comes down to somebody asking you, what's your nationality? And you say, I'm American. That would be incorrect. How would that be incorrect? Because that's not specifying the specific geographic location of the Americas to somebody asking you in law. So you ask somebody, what's your nationality? You tell them you're Moorish American. Why do you tell them that you're Moorish American? Because the term Moorish American, it links you up to a geographic location. They know based off you saying you're Moorish American, you could be from North, Central, South America, or the Caribbean islands. That's why you say you're Moorish American. No, no different than somebody you ask that's from Europe. If they from Europe, you ask them, what's your nationality? They're going to tell you, I'm British, I'm Irish, I'm Scottish, I'm Danish, right? So when you say you Moorish American, since the Americas is two continents, you linking up those land masses, North, Central, and South, and all the Caribbean islands. You're linking that up by saying you Moorish American. Get it? It's like you simplifying all of the flags into one. Now, when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, right? Say the Pledge of Allegiance. What do you say? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the Republic. Do you hear that? It's an and in there. So when you're saying and to the Republic, you're talking about two different governments. Pay attention. Pledge of Allegiance. When you say and the United States and to the Republic, why do we got to make that distinction? It's crucial because when you say and to the Republic, they are referring to the Al-Moroccan Empire. The Al-Moroccan Empire. So you as a Moor, you link yourself up when you start learning law and history. You're not finna be like, oh, this is a religious thing. This ain't got nothing to do with that. This function, we talking about the affairs of man. We talking about functioning in your proper self, your proper person in law. And the only way you could do that is if you got to recognize nationality. Point blank period. Point blank period. Look. So, you looking at when you say mortal, just look at the language. When you say mortal, you're not talking about a black person. You're talking about a Moor. See? You're not talking about a black person. This don't say Restaurant El Negro or El Negro. Negro in Spanish means black. Mortal means Moor. And it's like, you know how it be? How somebody could know your history better than you do. But it's not their job to tell you who you are. You supposed to know who you are, where you come from. You supposed to know that. Ain't nobody supposed to tell you who you are. You supposed to know who you are. Did your daddy teach you who you was? Your mama them? Your grandma? You see? And that's the disconnection, like I showed y'all. Look. Like I showed y'all right here. The disconnection with our people is right here. We think when we see something like this, we think that this is a religion. Like this somebody else's culture. the truth of the matter is, this is our culture. If you think that you are so-called African American, this is your culture. This is your history. This is your science. This is you. This is a part of you. The disconnect is right here. Because they show you right on here. This is the disconnect. People out here got an identity crisis because they don't know. Ain't nobody ever showed them. So it's each one teach one. So when you look right here and then you look right here, you got to see the resemblance. But you could tell that they chopped some off. What they chopped off was your nationality and your divine consciousness, your creed, your connection to link it all up like this right here. Bing bong. This is the link up. You got to come back to Allah. This is the link up. So whether you gods of the earths, whether you that, whether you a so-called Muslim, if you're a so-called Muslim and you think like nobody knows Farrakhan and none of them knew, yeah. So Farrakhan and Elijah Muhammad, if they didn't know, then why was Cassius Clay, why was his name changed to Muhammad Ali? Huh? If they didn't know, why was Cassius Clay name changed to Muhammad Ali? And he got a fed zone. And that's Muhammad Ali right there. Nah, this ain't a magic trick. This ain't a magic trick. That's Muhammad Ali. He knew what time it was. He got a Moorish fed zone. What you mean? He got a Quran in his hand. See, this is the disconnection. The disconnection, you can see it right here too. Look, it's right here. Look, see that? See how that capstone right there is decapitated? The capstone is decapitated from the rest of the body. That's your mind. That's your righteous mind, decapitated. And you touch these little green pieces of paper, you hustle for these every day, right? This is the Moorish nation right here. This is the Moorish nation. With the capstone is going to be connected, reconnected back to the pyramid. This is the Moorish nation. This is the Albion nation. Albion are the pale skinned people. That's them. So you got Moorish, Albion. When they say one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all, they was talking about a union of the first nation. That's why I spotted number one. The first nation is the Moorish nation because we're the first people that civilized this planet. Then you have the second people, the newcomers, the Albion pale skin nation. They're not American though. They're not indigenous to any place on this planet. Big facts. I'm gonna say that one more time. The Albions, who you've been falsely calling white people, they not white people. You can never call them a white person because they are not built to sit on the throne. They newcomers on the planet. Pale skinned Albions are not indigenous to the planet. They're created. We created them. They're not indigenous to this planet. Allah did not create the Albion. Man created the Albion. This is why the Albion, if you ever have an argument, a conversation, and you talking to an Albion, never argue with them, or I would say even engage into a conversation about genetics, anything about your history. This is how you shut that shit down. This is what you say. If you ever come into some kind of heated conversation or a conversation with a European hybrid about nationality and how they were created, this is what you say. You just say, I know who your father is. They're going to look at you like, I know how you were created. You were created by Moors on Jekyll Island over there. You were created in Patagonia. Yakub created y'all. So Yakub is your daddy. That's your father. Watch how they face look after you say what I just told y'all. They gonna look like, I never thought you would figure that out. Yeah, it's up. We figured it out. It's over with. So when you talk about not saying that they're white people, this is why you never call them that. Look, watch this. Because you gotta know who you are. See, when you know who you are, you ain't got time to play the game no more. You don't got time to play the game no more. You gotta really realize these people right here are the black people. Look, this is not a magic trick. This is why you don't call them white people. Because they can never be white people genetically. Because they're pale people. They're albions. They're not white people. Pay attention. Black, this is out of a dictionary. Okay? These ain't my opinions and how I feel. No, these are actual facts out of Noah Webster's dictionary. Okay? Black, look how the spellings, B-L-A-C, B-L-E-C. It means pale, wan, blaken, to become pale. Hold up. To become pale, to turn white, to bleach, also lighten, like bleach. These all came from 1849, 1854, 1859 editions of Noah Webster Dictionary. That's these people. This is one of the greatest spells of witchcraft, sorcery, black magic that has ever been placed on people. You looking at it right now. You said a question. You said, what if Moorish children and the pale people have children? Are they human? Okay. Good question. They will be considered amalgamated. The children would be considered amalgamated Moors. They're amalgamated. The problem with that is they're going to be confused because they're part of two separate nations. The Prophet Noble Drew Ali told us not to mix, marry, or amalgamate with the hybrid European. That's why a lot of the stuff it failed back in the day. Because a lot of Moors, instead of just keeping the Albion enslaved, a lot of Moors were saying we need to just, in today's times, you would say they so-called black. A lot of Moors were saying that they wanted to enslave the Albions, the Circassians, and the pale skins. They wanted to just keep them in bondage forever. But you had other Moors who was like, nah, we need to civilize them. We need to get them, you know what I'm saying, civilized so they could actually do something on this planet. So you had civil unrest within the Moorish people, which is similar to what's happening today. You got Moors who think that they're so-called African American or black, like this, instead of knowing, like this, who they are. This is where the civil unrest happened at. So a lot of the children who came from blending with the pale-skinned Europeans, those children, they were not really fully accepted. Why weren't they fully accepted like that? Because they blended with the hybrids, with the Europeans. And European, contrary to popular belief, European does not mean pale skinned. Pale skins, those are Albions. Remember, the pale skinned Albion is not indigenous to this planet. That means they not indigenous in North America, Central, South America. They ain't indigenous to Europe, Asia, Australia, Antarctica, or Africa. They not indigenous nowhere on this planet. The whole time they playing this game like They over here in North America acting a fool. They acting like they not foreigners in America. Pale-skinned Europeans are foreigners to the planet. You understand? I'm going to say that again. Pale-skinned Albions are foreigners to the planet. Let that one just marinate. Let that stay in your head and just marinate. They're not indigenous to the planet. But when you open your mouth up and you call them a white girl or a white boy or a white man or a white woman, you just made them sanctioned off to sit on this land. That's why you don't never call them that shit. White is a status. Black is a status. It ain't got nothing to do with what you think, like what kind of car you drive, what you got a yacht, you got a plane. It ain't got shit to do with that. What kind of clothes, what kind of drip you got, what kind of jewelry you got. Status ain't got nothing to do with that. Status is your rank in society. That's what status is. It ain't got nothing to do with your drip. None of that shit. That shit cap. Your status is where do you rank in society? Are you an outstanding member or you a bottom feeder? That's what it is. That's your status. You understand? So when you talk about status, look, this your status. This our status right here. See this? American. It's a noun, so it's dealing with people. Moorish American, that's our nationality. Look, it say an aboriginal or one of the various copper-colored natives found on the American continent by the Europeans. The original name, the original application of the name. This is the original application of the name American. English, look at that. American Dictionary of the English Language. Webster, 1936 Webster, unabridged. See that? We talking about dictionaries, Moors. We ain't talking about how we feel. We talking about real life dictionaries. We the original people here. See that? Copper complexion. So when you talk about somebody who you might think like, you know, our people wild with the names. Our people to call each other chocolate, caramel. Like those are, you know, those are food, right? Like chocolate is a food. You know that, right? Chocolate is a flavor. Like it's not a people. It's like people to call each other the weirdest shit. And then when you talk about how you solve the problem, you gotta have one name. Shout out to Jersey. You gotta have one name. You understand? So the one name that'll keep our people together is Moorish American. And then when you talk about, right. How you talking about Butter Pecan Rican? On God. Butter Pecan Rican. You know, we'll make some shit cold. That just, it'll come from nowhere. Butter Pecan Ricans. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We'll make some shit cold out of nothing, but that's just what we do. So when you think like all of the so-called Latinos who are really Moorish American, then you start looking at it like, man, why you always got an attraction to a Puerto Rican chick or a Dominican chick or a Panamanian chick, Colombian chick? You might fall in love with a chick from Argentina. Might fall in love with a chick down there in Costa Rica. Why is that? Because she is a Moorish American. You ever seen a chick so cold where you look at her, you like, God damn, like where you from? You gotta be mixed with something. You know this, right? So when you hear shit like that, you like, damn. Just off sight, you see her, you like, damn. You don't even know whole time she the same as you though. She's the same as you. Why? How? How could that be? Because she is from the Americas. North, Central, South America, all the Caribbean islands, That's the combinations. You see why we say Moorish? Because it's linking up. It's bridging the gap to be like, damn, what are you? What are you? And she say she's Moorish American. You automatically knowing like, okay, that's why you so cold. Cause you mix with you got some Guatemalan in you. You feel me? You got some Puerto Rican in you or something. You know what I'm saying? That's why. That's why. Ain't it crazy how we got information like this right here? Right here in our face. And we ain't looked it up. See? All we gotta start doing is looking up stuff. Just look up stuff. We're not Indians though. I gotta put that on the record. We're not Native Americans. You know the word? Did you know that the word native, when they say native, native has another meaning besides you being familiar. Shout out to St. Louis. Native has another meaning besides you saying that, like, you from around here. You know what I'm saying? Like, native got another meaning. So, you could say that you native, but native really means a savage. That's what native really means, like a straight savage. So, you don't want to be a native. Moorish American, we're Aboriginal and indigenous. So that means these lands, all these lands, we have a birthright. A birthright. You watched Game of Thrones before, right? You seen Game of Thrones before? You know how fam, he had a birthright? What was his name? John. His name was John Snow. Jon Snow, he had a birthright. That means he was next in line to be the king. He had a birthright. You know how in the movies, how they be like, they make a movie like Brewster's Billions, and they talk about how if they do such and such, like in the will, like whoever wrote the will, the heir in the family, they gotta accomplish a certain amount of things and stuff like that. Like you seen Power before, right? You remember how Ghost in Power and Ghost, he left his song, I'm doing a lot. All good. What's up with it? Like in Power, Ghost wrote it out in the will. How Tariq, he had to keep a good grade point average. You know what I'm saying? He had to keep his grades up. He had to keep tight. He set up parameters, right? So, us as Moorish Americans, the first step with us to claim our trust is you gotta be in your proper person. What does that mean? That means off GP, you supposed to know principles, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You supposed to be competent of who you are, meaning you know your nationality is Moorish American. Third, you have to be able to function in what you say government. And the government starts with here. This is the government. The government is the republic. We the people. That's the government. The government don't start with people out there in Washington, D.C. or a courthouse. Nah. That ain't the government. Look, check it out. You come right here. And then you think like we ain't knowing now, right? So when you ask a so-called Chinese person, they gonna tell you they from China. See that? See that? You ask a Japanese person, they gonna be Japanese, Jamaican, Ayatin, Mexican, Cuban, Dominican, Portuguese. You get it? Russian, Italian, Dutch, German, French, Irish, Scottish. You get the picture? Polish. You get the picture? So when somebody tells you, I am Moroccan, I am Moorish American, they're telling you who they are. They say, I am Chinese. Now, think about this now and say, I am chocolate. I am mahogany. I am black. I am Indian. You see how it's like friction with that. You know why you feeling that friction? You thinking like it's not flowing. It's not flowing. The name of this book is called The Torch. It's available at khalifamedia.com. I'm gonna show you right now. Get it right here on this website right here. Go to this website right here. khalifamedia.com. Go there. They got a black and white version and they got a color version. You need this book ASAP. Shout out to the Moor who wrote it, Mahfouz El Bey. You know what I'm saying? See? So when you say, well, they tell you ask somebody from another land, like, who are you? Where you from? And he'll tell you, or she'll tell you, I'm Scottish. How you sound when they tell you that they're Scottish and you turn around and tell them that you're a paint color? Think about it now. When somebody you meet somebody and they tell you, well, I'm French. And you come out your mouth and tell them, I'm black. It's like, what? You black? What you mean? Nah, fam. Nah, that just ain't it, fam. It can't be that. It can't just be that you on some just, they tell you that they're Italian, right? Like you say you meet somebody and you like, man, where you from? Or they say, where you come from? And they tell you, well, I'm Italian. And then you come out your face and say, I'm black. You see how I just off? I'm talking about all way off. Where you like, what? They gonna look at your ass like, what? Like, what you talking about? Like, I asked you where you came from and you told me a paint color. Yo, that's what we got. That's what we getting out of right now. We getting out of that whole paint color, crayon color narrative that we've been brainwashed with. You Moorish American. That's what you are. You Moorish American. When you say that, you got a flag. Why would you say that? Because not only is that the place in the land you come from, you got a flag that represents that. This the flag right here. The flag to prove what you talking about is right here. It's sitting in the United Nations right now. You got a flag at the United Nations and you out here calling yourself an Indian. Make it make sense. You ain't, hey, if you went to the United Nations, just Google it. Google the United Nations and let me know if your ass see an Indian flag sitting up there. Yeah. Hey, let me know if you see an Indian flag sitting at the United Nations. Let me know. It don't exist. Uh-oh, they about to tear their car up. Uh-oh. Speeding. You speeding. You speeding. Slow down. It ain't no flag. It ain't no Indian flag at the United Nations. It ain't no Pan-African flag at the United Nations. Just make it simple. Make it make sense. This flag is up there, though. This flag right here up there. Exactly, more. Seminoles wore fezzes. The so-called Choctaws and Chickasaws and Cherokees, guess what? They had turbans on. They had turbans on and they had fezzes on. Do I got that book on me? Nah, I ain't even got that book on me. I'm outside. I'm outside right now, so I only brought one on. Actually, I got more than one on, but I ain't got that book that I'm talking about. I'll show you right now how you got Seminoles that had turbans and fezzes on. Straight up. So when they be like the Indians, so-called Indians didn't wear Moorish drip, they had turbans on. What you talking about? And they had fezzes on. That's Moorish drip. See? All you gotta do is look at the pictures. Check their drip out. Then you will see like, yeah, the Seminoles, the Cherokees, the Choctaws, the Chickasaws, the Anasazi, they all had Moorish drip on. Then you look at the names. Have you ever looked up, real talk, have you ever looked up the name of the last Cherokee chief? Shit gonna blow your mind. Do yourself a favor and look up the last Cherokee chief. Look it up. I'm gonna drop it on you anyway though. The name of the last Cherokee chief, he had a Moorish name. His name was Ramadan Ibn Wati. Do that sound like Indian to you? Do that sound Indian to you? Or do that sound Moorish? What they say so-called Arabic. Arabic, contrary to popular belief, is Moorish. Arabic is Moorish. Yes. Yes, Sway. Yes. I know. It's Moorish. The language that we be thinking that ain't our language, like Arabic or Hindu, that's Moorish. So-called Spanish. That's a code word that they put on the Moorish language. This is why they tell our people, and they told the world, that Latin was a dead language. Now ask yourself this. How could Latin be a dead language? Ask yourself this. How could Latin be a dead language when Latin is written on these? Novus Ordo Seclorum. So, you see how much they be capping? They told us that Latin was a dead language, but yet it's used on these green pieces of paper every day. That's the disconnection. Ding, 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 ding. Can you see it now? You see how they've been capping all this time? Latin, how could it be a dead language when it's printed on these green pieces of paper we use every day? So when they say e pluribus unum, what does that mean? What language is that? That's a Latin language. That's a Moorish language. Out of one many. Out of one many. Out of one many. Out of one many. Code words. Hidden in plain sight. You looking at it. You looking at it. See how they been lying to us? You see how they been lying to us though? Peace, boy. They been lying to us about everything though. Everything they been lying to us about. Ain't you tired? Ain't you ready to take your crown back? Your throne back? Ain't you ready? Or you finna sit on the sideline and be pacified and lied to like, nah, I didn't know. Fam, you got more power than you think. You really do. We got more power than we really give ourselves credit for. We think like we powerless and we can't do nothing. Can't nobody tell you what the answer to. So if you tired, say this. All you gotta do is say this. All you do is say this. I'm not Negro, black, and colored. I'm a Moor. I'm Moorish American. That's how it starts. You don't answer to somebody that calls you something that you're not. Why would you answer to somebody calling you the wrong name? Do it make sense? Stop answering to the wrong name. That's how it starts. So if you said it in Spanish, right? If you said it in Spanish, you could say, soy moreno. Or if you a woman, you say, soy morena. See? Once you start there, and you stop the belief. You got to know. Look, you got to know it like you know the alphabet. You got to know it like you know your phone number. You got to know you're not Negro, black, colored, a Latino. You're not an Indian. You're a Moorish American. If you from North, Central, South America, or the Caribbean, you a Moorish American. That's who you is though. Whole time you out here thinking like, nah. They told me I was an Indian. They told me I was a Native American. Do any of those or you be like, they told me I was Pan-African. This is what they didn't tell you though. They didn't tell you that if you subscribe to be an Indian, did you know that they have a Bureau of Indian Affairs? Ooh. They ain't tell you that though. They ain't tell you that anybody who subscribes to be a so-called Indian, you have to sign up and register at the Indian Bureau of Affairs. What's that? That's a federal corporation. So how could you be indigenous if you have to sign up and register with a foreign corporation called USA? Unum Sanctum Association. Unum Sanctum Operations. Bing bong. How could you be indigenous if they say Indians are indigenous to the land, right? This is their story. If that was true, why do you got to sign up to the Indian Bureau of Affairs and register your tribe and your tribal name to a U.S. foreign corporation? Right. Ooh. Right. You say I got that. You say I'm Moorish. Facts. And you know how they talk about, well, you a so-called Indian, right? They ain't never tell you that there's a document called the Declaration Rights of Indigenous People. The Declaration Rights of Indigenous Peoples, it is the protection for all of the indigenous people out here. All of the indigenous people are protected and covered by that one document. That's just one document. So when we say the connection is the Moorish connection, this is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. This is what we're talking about. You going around, they trying to make us divide up against the Mexicans. The Mexicans are Moorish Americans. By blood. By blood. Dominicans, they're Moorish Americans. Puerto Ricans are Moorish Americans. You understand? Jamaicans are Moorish Americans. Haitians, Moorish Americans. If you're from Belize, you're a Moorish American. If you're from the Dominica, you're a Moorish American. You understand? They got us out here nitpicking, fighting with each other with bogus ass arguments that we don't even need to be arguing with each other about. This is why when they say you got an attraction to a Mexican or a Puerto Rican chick or a Dominican chick or a Belizean chick, this is why you're attracted to them. You're attracted to them because it's in the blood. Because we're the same people. We're the same people thinking that we're opposite from each other. The controllers, the so-called elite, they know this information. But them keeping it a secret amongst them gives them fake power, fake authority, which they can never have authority over the jus sanguinis, allodial title holders who are Moors, Moorish Americans. Bing bong. See what we talking about? This is why you never call them white people. Look. This is it. This is it right here. This is show you right here. So when you talk about Pangea, when the planet used to be all connected, Eurasia, North America, South America, Africa, India, East Antarctica, right? And Australia. It was all connected before. You could walk from one place to the next place. When the great earthquake happened, the puzzle split apart. Then you had the Atlantic Ocean, which used to be a land over there. Atlantis used to be right here. After this earthquake happened, Atlantis was right there. Then Atlantis sank. Over there in Hawaii, used to have Lemuria. Lemuria was on the Pacific coast. Atlantis was on the East Coast. That's why it's called the Atlantic Ocean. Because Atlantis is down there. Atlantis is down there, Moors. Then you got over there Lemuria, Pacific Ocean. You got remnants of Lemuria with the islands like Honolulu and all that. That's the remainder of Lemuria, the island. They had a volcano explode on their land though, because they was doing some wild technology type shit. Allah wasn't pleased. You know what I'm saying? So even, I got to put this on the record. I'm going to sign my guy. Even when you talk about the so-called N-word, the so-called N-word, it's nothing wrong with the N-word. When you say Naga, Naga is an ancient sound. It's an ancient people. So when you see Mexicans, Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, whoever else saying the N-word is Naga. The Naga people. When they talk about the serpent was over here in the Americas. It's nothing wrong with saying Naga or Negus. Nothing wrong with that at all. So when you see them or you hear them say Naga, you thinking that they're saying something derogative. When they say Naga or Nega, Negus, it's an energy, frequency, and vibration coming off that word. The Naga people. You my Naga. You my Nega. You see? But if you speed it up and you put a fake story on top of it, you would think like saying my Nega is derogatory. It's not. It's all in the language. It's all in etymology. Facts. It's all in etymology. So, I hope y'all got something from this beam out. Oh, I hope y'all got something from it. Hold up. Don't be thinking Farrakhan and them don't know either. Don't think Farrakhan don't know. He got a fair zone right here. Don't think he don't know. He know that we Moors. They got a Noble Drew Ali Plaza in Brownsville, New York. Huh? Don't think they don't know. Don't think it. Same thing with him. Ancient times, Egyptians. See that? Ancient time Egyptians. Look what they got on their head. They got a fair zone. See that right there? Same with Muhammad Ali. See that right there? Fan just came right over here and turned the music on. He got all the room in the world and just came over here and turned the music on. They want to be around that energy though. They want to be around that shit. Telling you, Moors, you start being yourself as Moorish American, you're gonna start attracting like a magnet, a super magnet, because it's in your DNA. I hope y'all got something from this beam out. Share it out. Each one teach one. I appreciate all y'all that tune in and all y'all that will tune in. Much love. coast to coast. Down south, overseas. Chicago, wild hundreds. East side, low wind. North side, out west.